One Saturday, December 9th, 1531, Juan Diego, aged 57, a widower and a resident of Tolpetlac, was on his way to Mass on the holy day of the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. Running lightly past the foot of Tepeyac Hill, Juan was startled by a sweet, musical sound, like choirs of birds under extraordinary control. He watched a white cloud at the crest of Tepeyac resolve into waves of dazzling brilliance. The birdsong quieted. High above, a woman's voice softly repeated,
Juan Diego, where are you going?
Juan excitedly climbed the slope and beheld a rainbow-hued mist. A radiantly beautiful lady gently reassured him, identifying herself as the Blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of God. The Blessed Virgin promised Juan's people her love, compassion, help, and protection. Our Lady spoke the memorable words,
I am your merciful mother.
Our Lady instructed Juan to tell everything to Bishop Juan de Zumarraga, Mexico's first bishop, and to tell him to build a church at Tepeyac, especially at her request.
I need to see the bishop.
The bishop is busy. He can't be bothered.
I've seen Our Lady. She sent me.
Bishop Zumarraga was reluctant to believe Juan's story. He told Juan to return in a few days.
Hey, Juan, where's your lady?
Homeward bound the same afternoon, Juan again saw the Blessed Virgin at Tepeyac. Impressed by the Indian's humility, the Blessed Virgin assured him that her will would be accomplished through him, and that he must return to the bishop the next day.
I firmly order you to go again to the bishop. Tell him I want him to start work on the temple.
I need to see the bishop again.
I thought you would want that he dismissed you.
He told me to come back.
Maybe next week. Not today. The bishop has spent enough time with peasants today.
But the lady, I saw her again. She told me I must speak to the bishop today.
Bishop Zumarraga was still hesitant. He told Juan to ask his beautiful lady for a sign from heaven.
Bring me a sign from your lady.
The Blessed Virgin was again waiting for Juan at Tepeyac. She told him that she would give him a sign the next day, one that would truly convince the bishop that the Mother of God was truly talking to him. Juan promised he would return before dawn. Reaching home, Juan found his aged uncle, Juan Bernardino, gravely ill. He spent the next day ministering to his stricken relative. By early morning on the 12th, Juan Bernardino had grown worse. He asked Juan Diego to go to the monastery and asked the padre to come and administer the Holy Sacrament to him. Distraught at not having complied with the Blessed Virgin's request the previous day, Juan took a different path around the foot of Tepeyac Hill, hoping to avoid a meeting. This time, the Blessed Virgin came down the slope toward him. Juan Diego, upset with himself, fell on his knees.
Hear and let it penetrate into your heart, my dear little son. Let nothing depress you. Let nothing discourage you. Let nothing alter your heart or countenance. Also, do not fear any illness or vexation, anxiety or pain. Am I not here when I am your mother? Am I not your fountain of life? Are you not in the folds of my mantle, in the crossing of my arms? Is there anything else that you need? Do not be concerned about your uncle's illness, for he is not going to die. Be assured he is already well. Climb, my little son, to the top of the hill where you have seen me, and receive my orders. There you will see many flowers. Gather them carefully and place them together. Then bring them and show them to me.
Juan did not hesitate, although it was December and he had seen only rocks and cacti there 2 days before. Juan found a fresh, fragrant garden of roses and other flowers. He filled his tillman and hurried down the hill. Our Lady smilingly greeted him, arranged the flowers within the tillman, and cautioned Juan.
My son, these roses are the sign and proof that you shall take to the bishop. You are an ambassador, most worthy of confidence. You must not unfold your tilma till you are in the bishop's presence. Then you must tell him everything carefully to convince him to give his help toward building the temple.
Juan's elation swiftly brought him to the episcopal palace. The bishop's assistants and servants, weary of Juan's persistence and fearing that he was an evil one, barred his entrance. They jostled and insulted Juan for a long time, until, with amazement, they glimpsed the flowers. The servants then gave news of all this to the Bishop Zumarraga and led Juan Diego into his presence. Juan gave him the Blessed Virgin's message, adding that he had brought with him the sign which the bishop had commanded Juan to ask of the lady. He opened his cloak, and the roses fell out to the floor. Upon the cloak was imprinted the image of the Blessed Virgin Mary. All present were astounded and knelt down. Afterwards, the bishop himself untied the knot of the tilma behind Juan Diego's neck. Juan Diego led a group of friars to his uncle's home. In the course of the conversation, it was discovered that his uncle, Juan Bernardino, had been healed of his sickness at the exact moment Juan Diego had been told of the cure by the beautiful lady. At the moment of Juan Bernardino's healing, the beautiful lady had also visited him and had told him she wanted to be called by the name of
Guadalupe.
which means crushing idols and serpents. This account of the apparitions of Our Lady to Juan Diego would not have been known if it were not for the work of Antonio Valeriano, who at the tender age of 11 listened to an old man who had been a close friend of Juan Diego tell the story to his father. He had remembered all he had heard about it, and as an educated young man, decided to write it all down on a paper made from the pulp of the maguey plant. At the present time, it is in the Museo Indiano of New York for future generations to see.
stand now, trusting in Almighty God, whose gift is Mary in our lives, hears our needs and our prayers.